Okay, so students, we are discussing about mm, the basic functionalities of database management system. So we are discussing about the basic functionalities of database management system, and we have discussed up to metadata, and then we have how to manipulate the database. We can manipulate the database using query and update the database mini world, okay, and generate reports. Then we have this function called sharing. So sharing a database also is a possibility. So sharing a database allows multiple users and program to access the database simultaneously, okay. And then we can have application program. So an application program accesses the database by sending queries or request for data to the DBMS. And what is query? A query typically causes some data to be retrieved. That means, as we know that what is query, already you have done the laboratory also in the last day. You might have know by now what is query. Query means we are putting some questionnaires based on that mm, desired outcome will be extracted from the database, because database is a huge thing. So from there we might be needing specific information. For that you have to write query, okay. So a query typically causes some data to be retrieved, not all, some data, okay. So I don't know, it is not writing here, okay. So what is query is used to do, typically causes some data to be retrieved, some data to be retrieved. So main thing is the retrieval process from the database, okay. And then okay, and then we have this transaction process, that is also uh, action that happens in the database, and the transactions may cause some data to be read and some data to be written into the database, okay. So may cause some data to be read and some data to be written into the database, that is transactions. So already we have seen what may be the scenario of transactions, like sometimes what happens in between the transaction, disaster can happen. So for that we have different technique to avoid them, okay. We have seen that we can commit and we can roll back, those things are there. And then after transaction we have other important function provided by the DBMS include the very important function include protecting the database and maintaining it over a long period of time, okay. So protections means what? Protecting the database from whom? Protection includes system protection. First thing, you have to protect the system against hardware or software malfunction. So system protections could be of two types. For the time being, system protections could be of two types. One is system protection against hardware, and it could be also against software malfunction. Software malfunction. Okay. So protection includes system protections against hardware and software malfunction, or sometimes we refer software malfunction as software crash. Okay, crash. And then second one is very important, which is security protections. Security protection, that is also required. Security protection against what? Against unauthorized or malicious accesses. So you can write here unauthorized or malicious access. Okay. And then a typical large database may have a life cycle of many years. Okay, a typical large database may have a cycle of many years. So the DBMS must be able to maintain the database system by allowing the system to evolve as requirements change over a time. That means let's say one particular software and database systems you have to maintain for long time. So if you want to maintain the long term, that means it has to reciprocate towards the changes also. So that kind of robustness would also be there. So maintaining the database is another tricky things that we have to do. Okay, so these are the these are some other important functionality that are there. I mean, related to the database, we have to do protection, transactions, maintaining the database, and then let us say so it is not absolutely necessary to use general purpose DBMS software to implement a computer's database. You can also have your own database. Okay, you can also have your own database. You can write your own set of programs to create and maintain a database. So bigger industry does that. They used to write their own maintenance mechanism. They used to create their own maintenance mechanism. They used to create their own security software, everything. Okay, so so to so finally the definition of the database systems can be so we'll call the database and DBMS software together as a database systems. So whenever we see database systems, that include the database plus DBMS software. Okay, so figure 1.1 illustrates some of the concept we have discussed so far. Let us see figure 1.1. This is figure 1.1. Here you can see that it is a simplified database system environment. Okay, simplified database structure and a few sample data for such a database. So this is figure 1.1. So figure 1.1 is this one. So here you can see that this is the application program, and then this is the DBMS software part, and this is the DBMS system part. So application programs queries comes under this. Okay, because this part data would be stored here, but here the software part is working. So in the software section we have software to process queries and programs, software to access stored data. Okay, and then this is the stored database, which is called metadata. Metadata already you know. Metadata means whenever you require it is like a data dictionary. Through metadata you can this is the manual metadata, you can call it as a manual. Okay, so wherever you stuck to something, you will be referring to metadata, and this is a stored database. Okay, so this is one simple database system environment. You can view like this. Okay, so it is easy diagram, it is understandable, self-explanatory. Okay, now let us see an example. Let us consider a simple example that we are familiar with, a simple exemplary database which is called university database. So university database for manipulating information concerning student courses and grades in a university environment. So what is that university database? So this is the university database, and I'll be showing you the university database later on, but before that let us understand. So university database, information concerning student courses and grades in a university environment. Okay, So figure 1.2 shows the database structure. The figure 1.2, let us see. This is figure 1.2, is called university database. So here we have how many records? In this university database we have 5 files, each of which store data records of the same type. Okay, so first was is student file. This is the student file, stores the data on each student. This is the course file. Course file stores the data on each student in each course. And then we have section file. This section file stores data on each section of the course. And then we have grade report. This one, this grade report. One second. This grade report file stores the grade of the students received in various sections they have completed, and the prerequisite is this one. That means if some students wants to do a course, what are the prerequisite subjects? So these are few data records. Let us not call it table line by now. Let us call this are as a record. So this is the student record, this is a course record, this is section record, grade report record, and then prerequisite. So this is a university database. Okay, university database in the most simplified way, most trivial you can call it. So student, course, section, grade report, and then prerequisite. Okay, so to define the database we must first specify the structure of the record of each file by specifying the different types of data element. That means in your lab class also you have seen that we have to different types of data element to be stored in each record. That means student record we have name, student number, class, major subject. Okay, so here it is Smith. So this is character type, string type. Student number is, you can call it integer type. Class number also integer type. CS major is also again a string type of, the data type is string. That means character type of data type. Okay, so these things we have to specify. So we can call it data elements. Okay, different types of data elements. So here class number 1 could be class number 1 could refer to one class, class number 2 could refer to different class. Okay, and we can have multiple classes here. And then in the course section, and this major subjects such as mathematics or CS could be the major subjects. Okay, each course record include data to present the course name, course number, course arts. This is the course, so course name, course number, course arts, and department. So this is another record. Okay, so here course name, introduction to computer science, data structure, discrete mathematics, database. So this is one attribute under which we have this many number of courses, and these courses are also having course number. That means you can call it course number. That means the subject number. So each subject will be having specific number. Like in this case, introduction to computer science is CS1310, data structure is CS3320, maths is 2410, and then database is CS3380. And these are the credit hour. How many subjects? Each subject is having how many hours credit. So this is 4 hour credit. This is also 4 hours. This is 3 hours. This is 3 hours. So this credit hours also depends upon the lab. If lab is attached to it, the credit will be more. Okay, if it is only theory, then credit will be less. And then which department offers that? So in this case, you can see that discrete mathematics offers by the maths department, whereas the other three subjects are offered by the computer science department. Okay, so this is a course record. Then we have course record is done, and then we have student record is also done. Section also there. Section identifier, course number, semester, year, instructor. So each course, each section there will be some instructor. Okay, so who will be teaching the course? Some professors or maybe instructors. TRA will be teaching the course. So this is section. This is grade report. Okay, so these are the, why I am saying this thing. This is one typical example of database that stores student and course related information. This is the most simplified university database that you can create. And here we have excluded the other things, like other things we are not concerning at all, like other things related to the university. A university cannot be this much only, okay? It is much more than that, but it is related with the student and course related records, okay? So there can be some sample cases. For example, the record for a particular student file is related to two records in the grade report. It is possible, okay? And then similarly, each record in the prerequisite file relate to two course record, once representing the course and other representing the prerequisite. So these are many permutation and combinations is possible, and based on that we will be writing the query and we will get the result, okay? So this is one simple database we have. And then here okay, relationship among the record is important in manipulating, involves querying and updating. Now example of queries, what can be the example of queries that can be asked anytime? Retrieve the transcript. Who will retrieve the transcript? Let us say somebody wants to see, let us say some external auditing auditing team comes and they want to see the transcript randomly. So who will do that? Suddenly manually they won't go and get the transcript from the specific department, right? So what they will do, they will write a query. They will write a query on the database. Based on that, data will be retrieved. So retrieve the transcript. This is one case, simple case, where we need transcript of many students maybe who has scored more than 9 pointers, let us say for last 5 years, 9.5, more than 9.5, okay? List the names of the students who took the section of the database course offered in fall semester 2008 and their grades in that section. This is also a probable query we can ask. This is a probable query, okay? So who will do that? You have to write a query, SQL query. Based on the SQL query, you will get the result. List the prerequisite of the database course. What are the prerequisite of database course? You won't sit and see the database syllabus, right? Management won't sit and see the database syllabus. They will be simply writing the query. So these are the basic things that we will be writing for which we will be writing the query. Without query, we can't do anything in the database, okay? And then how we can update some, let's say some record, updating some, let's say this one I want to update, something has changed, so I want to update this thing. So for that we can write the update. So change the class of Smith to sophomore, okay? So some instructor class of Smith to sophomore. So the class of Smith is going to change to sophomore. He was earlier in something else, okay? Create a new section of the database course for this semester. These are also probable things that needed to be updated, okay? So we can write these things also. You can enlarge the table which is already existing. We can shrink the table, you can delete the table, but always deleting is critical, because once you delete the information, because all the tables, all the records are connected to each other. So once you delete any columns or any rows, any column especially, that means the table size or record size got shrink. So if that particular record is also a foreign key or related to some other table, then we started getting the problems, because if that record is related to other tables record, which is also common there, or if that particular record that we are going to delete, it is referring to another record, then it will create problem, because it will affect that other tables also. So deleting is always critical, okay? So another example of updating, maybe enter a grade of A for Smith in the database section last semester. So maybe Smith grade has been updated. Earlier he got B grade. Now after re-evaluating the paper by his professor, he got A grade. It is a possibility. Phases for designing a database, okay? Okay. Okay, so who designed the database? The information technology IT department within a company designs and maintain an information system consisting of various computers, storage system, application software and database. Design of a new application for an existing database or design of a brand new database starts off with a phase called requirement specifications. First thing is, so once you are going to design in a particular, let us say you become a database designer. So what are the steps? Steps is that first is the requirement specification. That means you have to understand what are the requirements based on the problem given to you. So somebody might have your higher superior, maybe manager or your team leader might have explained that this is the problem that we are going to solve by this database. You have utterly clear idea about the problem that you are going to solve by developing a new database. So for that what you will do first, you will be starting gathering the requirement specifications. What are the specification I need, and then analysis. You will analyze that. What are the main requirement for developing a new database? Okay. Second thing is that conceptual design you have to do. Conceptual design. Okay. So the requirements are documented in detail and transformed into conceptual. Once you are clear with the requirement analysis, so once you are clear with the requirement analysis, then you will be going to the next step, which is called conceptual design. So first is what? Requirement analysis. Any projects related to software engineering or database related project, first thing is that requirement analysis. Requirement you have to analyze. Okay. By this process you will also do the SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, all these things, whether this project is even feasible or not. That your team leader might not do. He will just tell you the problem. You can come up and say that okay, this is not possible considering the resources that are available right now in the company. So requirement analysis is the first step. So what are the main requirements? How many human resources you need? How many programmer you need? How many this that? So requirement analysis. Once this is done, this is the major steps. Once it is done, then you will go to the conceptual design, which is very important. Okay. So the requirements are documented. So you will document this. You document the requirement analysis. Once this thing is done, then this document will be pass to the conceptual design team if that is a different team. Okay. So detail of the documented things are transformed into a conceptual design that can be represented, manipulated using some computerized tool so that it can be easily maintained, modified and transformed. So once this documentation is done for requirement analysis, here you will design the conceptual design, and that will be done by some tools that are available in the company, and it will be stored. Okay, it will be stored and it will be maintained. Okay, and everywhere we will be expecting that in requirement analysis it will also be optimized. This conceptual design also will be optimized. It is not that every time once you are finalized the thing and if it is passed to the next step in the conceptual design, it is not that again you will track back and it will be assumed that the requirement analysis is perfect. So in the middle of the project nothing goes wrong. We are assuming that. Okay. So conceptual design. Okay, then conceptual design can be easily modified and transformed into the database implemented. So next is after conceptual design we have this logical design. So the design after conceptual design we'll be having the logical design that can be expressed in a data model implemented in a commercial DBMS. Okay, logical design. Each steps are important. Conceptual design, logical design. So logical design can be expressed in a data model implemented in a commercial DBMS. Okay. So after logical design, last one is the most popular approach for design and implementing database using relational DBMS. That is the final stage, and that is called physical design. So during the physical design, further specifications are provided for storing and accessing the database. So the last one is the physical design, where the further specifications are provided. So here further specifications are provided. So further specification, okay, so further specification are provided, and for storing and accessing the database. So how to store the database, how to access the database, these further specification are provided in inputs are given in the physical design. Okay. So after these 4 steps are over, requirement analysis, conceptual design, logical design, physical design, the database can be implemented then, and then it can be populated with the actual data, and it has to be maintained continuously to reflect the state of the mini world. Mini world, as someone asked in the last class also, mini world means that the database that you are dealing with, that is the mini world. Okay, so this is an example. Okay, now next okay, now we'll be going to see the characteristics of database approach. Okay, so there are number of characteristics are there that differentiate the database approach from the much older approach of programming with files. So these things, I think in the first class, this is what I told you. Earlier we had traditional file processing systems, but file processing systems failed because of it doesn't support the indexing and all other things. Basically, it fails in searching. Not only in searching, also the data storage is not efficient in case of file processing systems. Okay, data storage is not also efficient. So each user defines and implements the file needed to be specific software application. So file processing system was a failure. Okay. So, and then after file processing systems, we have the database approach, which is the complementary of file processing systems. We have avoided file processing systems and we have started using the database approach. So what is the significance of database approach? How it is differentiating itself from file processing system? Single repository maintains data that is defined once and then accessed by various users. This is the main thing. One repository, everyone can access the database in database approach. In case of file processing system, that was not possible earlier. Okay, so characteristics of the database approach. Main characteristics of the database approach is self-describing nature of the database system, insulation between programs and data. So these facilities are earlier not available. In case of file processing systems, programs, it is very hard to write programs and mingle the programs with the data, because now programs is separate, data is separate. You have seen the diagram here, this diagram. The DBMS part is separate, the storage part is separate. Okay, application programs also is separate. So now situation is different once you are using the database technique. So it is self-describing nature of the database system. So insulation, that means there is a sharp insulation between programs and data, because earlier programs and data are mixing, so retrieving data would have been a problem. Okay, and data abstraction, support of multiple views of the data. We will see that support of multiple views. We can look at the data in different ways. Okay, even in SQL also you can look at data in different ways. Okay, sharing of data and multiple user transaction processing. So transaction processing also become now much more easier. Okay, database system contains complete definition of structure and constraints. So metadata, already we have discussed what is metadata. Metadata means it is a data dictionary. It is like a manual of your whole database. Everything, all the nitty-gritty, that means all the terminology and everything has been written. Okay, this database catalog used by DBMS software, database user who need information about database structure. Okay, then insulation between program and this thing means what? Insulation means between programs and data abstractions. What is the meaning of that? This is data abstraction. Okay, data abstraction. So what happens in traditional file processing system? The structure of data files is embedded in the application program. That is the most problematic thing. So many changes to the structure of a file may require changing all programs that access files. So programs and data both are clubbed together earlier in case of file processing systems, whereas in case of DBMS, one second. Okay, whereas in case of DBMS, access programs do not require such change in most of the cases. Okay, but in case of file processing system, the structure of the file require changing all programs that access the file. So basically files and programs are clubbed together in case of file processing systems, whereas in case of DBMS it is not the case. So that means that we can call as program data independence. Okay, we can call this thing as program data independence. Earlier this facilities was not available, so this thing program data independence is already written. Program data independence, program is one side, data is in another side, they are not mixing. But in case of file processing system they are mixed, so for that you have to pay more cost to segregate the files and the programs. Okay.